I have passionate listeners when it comes to EVs, electric vehicles. And we mentioned some of the problems, and Tesla is largely the exception because of their supercharger network. And we have people who call in and they defend them, but even oftentimes they'll acknowledge that for long road trips, things like that, they have a gas-powered vehicle. Well, there's a television show that's no longer on the air called Veep. Veep was a comedy, rather crass, rather vulgar comedy on HBO, a lot of language. And it was about the vice president of the United States. Selena Meyer was her name. Ultimately becomes president. She's an idiot. And everybody are idiots. It's beautiful, well, not beautiful people. It's non-Hollywood beautiful people who are shallow, dumb, and vain. That is Washington, D.C., and that was accurately captured in Veep. That people think that somehow Washington, D.C. is like House of Cards or Game of Thrones, when really it's like Veep. It is very dumb people operating in an insulated vacuum outside of reality. It is some very shallow, dumb people. And it was accurately captured in Veep that Washington is a comedy more than it is a drama. It is a farce. This is from National Public Radio. When Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm set out on a 4-day electric vehicle road trip this summer, she knew charging might be a challenge, but she probably didn't expect anyone to call the cops. Granholm's trip through the Southeast from Charlotte, North Carolina to Memphis, Tennessee, was intended to draw attention to the billions of dollars the White House is pouring into green energy and clean cars. The administration's ambitious energy agenda, if successful, could significantly cut U.S. emissions and reshape America's lives in fundamental ways, including by putting many more people in electric vehicles. On town hall stops along her road trip, Granholm made a passionate, optimistic case for this transition. She often put up a photo of New York City in 1900 full of horses and carriages with a single car. Then another slide, 13 years later, same street, all these cars. Can you spot the horse? There's one horse in the frame. Things are happening fast. You're in the center of it. Imagine how big clean energy industries it will be in 13 years, she told one audience in South Carolina. How much stronger our economy is going to grow, how many good paying jobs we're going to create, and where we're going to lead the world. So she does this road trip. Not every vehicle in the caravan is electric. The Secret Service rode in large traditional gas-guzzling SUVs. This is hilarious. She's an EV enthusiast. This makes her uniquely well-positioned to envision the future. But between stops, Granholm's entourage at times had to grapple with the limitations of the present. Like when her caravan of electric vehicles, including a luxury Cadillac Lyriq, a hefty Ford F-150, and an affordable Bolt electric utility vehicle, were planning to fast charge in Grovetown, a suburb of Augusta, Georgia. Her advanced team realized there weren't going to be enough plugs to go around. One of the station's 4 chargers was broken and others were occupied, so an energy department staffer tried parking a non-electric vehicle by one of those working chargers to reserve a spot for the approaching Secretary of Energy. That did not go down well. A regular gas-powered car blocking the only free spot for a charger? In fact, a family that was boxed out on a sweltering day with a baby in the vehicle was so upset they decided to get the authorities involved. They called the police. So you got the Secretary of Energy's motorcade is en route to charge. So they park a gas-powered vehicle in a spot meant for an electric vehicle to take the spot. A family with a baby in the car needs to charge their car, and the energy department won't let them because the secretary's coming. So the family calls the cops. The sheriff's office couldn't do anything. It's not illegal in Georgia for a non-EV to claim a charging spot. Energy Department staff scrambled to smooth over the situation, including sending other vehicles to slower chargers until both the frustrated family and the secretary had room to charge. John Ryan, a driver of an electric BMW, pulled up after everything was settled. It was his turn to wait. It's just par for the course, he shrugged. They'll get it together at some point. They would be the government, the automakers, the charging networks like Electrify America and ChargePoint, and companies like Walmart, Shell, and 7-Eleven that are entering the charging game. And they are, in fact, desperate to get it together. Car makers have hundreds of billions of dollars of investment on the line, and they're embracing Tesla's technology. Riding along with Granholm, I came away with a major takeaway. EVs that aren't Teslas have a road trip problem, and the White House knows it's urgent to solve the problem. So down the road from my house is a Circle K, and I noticed that Circle K is putting in chargers, electric chargers. Here's a problem, though. There are 2, 4, 6, 8 pumps at this gas station. So there are 8 pumps. Each pump does 2, so 16 gas-powered vehicles. And it takes 5 minutes. I have a gas-guzzling SUV, a Yukon Denali. I love my Yukon Denali. It fits my whole family and my family's luggage. We are not light packers, and we have a dog. If I'm low on gas, I can fill that sucker up. It takes 5 minutes. Put 20, 25 gallons in, and away I go. So they're putting in at this Circle K where I am, I think 2 to 4 electric chargers. It will take between 15 and 30 minutes for a car to get the power it needs from those chargers to go on its way, while the rest of us get in and out in about 5 minutes. If you make the choice for an electric car, God bless you, good for you. But you are making a choice to hurry up and wait. Even a Tesla can take 15 minutes with a high-speed, high-capacity charger. The technology will undoubtedly improve, but here is the Secretary of Energy of the United States of America who has to have a gas-powered car block a parking spot from someone with an electric car and who in frustration calls the police because they're trying to get the secretary charged. And it takes time. And what a road trip this is. So they were going from Charlotte, North Carolina to Memphis. They went through Augusta, so undoubtedly they went down from Charlotte. They went down through Rock Hill on I-77 over to Columbia, came through I-20 to Augusta. Grovetown is outside of Augusta. It's actually off the interstate. You got to drive a little ways off the interstate to get to Grovetown. Those of you who go to Augusta National to check out the golf there, it's on the south side. It's a little ways out of Augusta as well, but you can go through Grovetown. You get back on, you get on I-20, and you head over to Atlanta. And then I guess if she's going to Memphis, then maybe they went up, took the long way to Nashville, but I doubt it. They probably went over towards Birmingham and then took I-22 up through Tupelo, made it all the way to Memphis. Got on US 78 there. There's a lot of rural parts in there as well, and there are lots of gas stations, very few electric vehicle stations. This is kind of a comedy of errors here, trying to show America just how awesome EVs are, and the cops get called on you because you're blocking them. And here's the other problem, in all reality. So Tesla actually has a very good charging network. If you go to Tesla.com, they have a tab on charging, and they have a trip planner. And they show you where the supercharging stations are, in addition to all the other charging stations, but in particular, the supercharging stations. They have this massive network of superchargers across the country. And you can drive literally from Key West to Seattle using Tesla superchargers, and assuming they're working, you can do it. The problem is that a lot of the charge stations in the country are not superchargers. So superchargers from Tesla use a proprietary connection. The rest of the industry uses a standard, and that standard is more like closer to a standard plug. The problem as well, though, is that those are high capacity, and even in high capacity areas, they sometimes aren't as powerful as advertised. So it can take a very long time to fill up the battery-powered vehicle. The problem here is not that people have electric cars, and pay attention here. That I've got a friend. In fact, I got a friend in my office today, my CFO. He's got a Tesla. He loves it. I got plenty of friends who have electric vehicles. They love their electric vehicles. And if you're in a commuting situation, they work fantastic. The problem is the Great American Road Trip problem. When you got your family in the car with you and you're taking a vehicle for a long distance, you need a big vehicle in many cases to hold your family. That vehicle is very heavy, it's very expensive with the battery, and it's hard to find a place that can charge with high capacity in a reasonable amount of time. So your family's having to log extra time wherever they go. You can't just spend 5 minutes at the gas station. Now, you may love it, you may have accommodated it, but not everybody has. And you have to admit, even if you have accommodated it, that it's a change in lifestyle. What this administration is trying to do, and what Jennifer Granholm is trying to do, is trying to tell you that it's not really a change in lifestyle. It's not really a change in your habits, but it is, because it takes time. In cold weather, they don't work as well. In cold weather, the battery goes out faster. With my SUV, gas-powered SUV, it doesn't matter whether it's hot or cold. I'm going to get reasonably the same distance. With a battery, you're not. And the left right now, their spin is like, well, because of global warming, we're not going to have all these cold days. No, actually you are. You still are. You got problems. And the Secretary of Energy of the United States, trying to paper over these differences, instead had an episode of Veep where her staff unwittingly exposed the problems of the Great American Road Trip. And families, because of this administration's energy policies, are dealing with absurd prices for aviation. It's more expensive to fly than ever before. You're having more delays. Everybody's short-staffed. So a lot of people are hitting the road. To save money, they're driving their car. And those who take an electric vehicle are penalized because of the charging situation around the country. And most Americans don't particularly want them. Some people do, and they become evangelists for the electric car. But most Americans still do not want an electric car because of all the problems. And this administration, trying to paper over the problems, is actually undermining people's trust in the system to be able to convert. And even if they did convert, you still have the problem of all the other vehicles out there that can't convert, the tractors, the tanks, the law enforcement vehicles. They're not going to. And yet this administration would have you believe we can get rid of all fossil fuels. We're not going to do that. And the moment they finally are truthful, maybe more people will trust them about electric vehicles.